Hello everybody, and welcome back to All the Mods 10. In the previous episode, we defeated the Wither, the End Dragon, and also went to the Deep Dark where we found some Allthemodium. So what I want to do in today's episode is take our Allthemodium and upgrade all of our gear, our armor that we're wearing currently, as well as our Paxel. But to do that, we are going to need some more Allthemodium smithing upgrades. So what I'm going to do first today is actually keep exploring around, and I'm going to try to find a few more of these smithing templates. Now we could actually duplicate these using netherite ingots, and we might eventually have to do that as well, but I currently don't have a ton of netherite. I was also looking into getting the different types of bees. Now that we actually have unlocked the end, we have access to ender bees, which can be combined with the different other types of bees, and we can get things like platinum, tungsten, but namely we can finally get diamond, we can get ancient debris, and one of the more important ones as well is the draconic bee. This one actually just produces dragon's breath, I believe, but this is actually how we get the draconic dust and I think the draconic chunks, if I'm remembering correctly. The draconic chunks are used to make the upgrade blocks as well as the upgrade productivity alpha, which would increase our productivity by 120%. So thinking about it just a little bit more, I think I am gonna go down the route of bees rather than going to explore a little bit more. Just because having the netherite bees as a sort of resource that we have infinite amounts is a little bit easier than exploring around every time that we need to upgrade something into Allthemodium. So fortunately, in between episodes, I did actually set up these end stone nests, and they have been producing. Unfortunately, I didn't actually claim this chunk. I think it's this one that they're in. There we go. So that's force loaded now. So we just need to wait the 1200 seconds that it'll take to produce our NBs. And to get our ancient bee, we are going to need a block of netherite. So I think I'm going to go and dig around in the nether for a little while, and hopefully we can get enough for a block of netherite. And in fact, we're actually going to need 2 blocks of netherite because the ancient bee needs it to pollinate as well. So it might take a little while to get as much netherite as we need. And fortunately, the netherite site is actually working today. Always feels good when things are working out. Alright, so I gathered 30 ancient debris, and that should turn into... hold on, I think it starts in the basic crushing factory there. That should turn into about 22 ingots. So we got 64 and 26 netherite scrap. And we should have more than plenty gold because we have that automated. So, yep, that's 22 netherite ingots plus 2 netherite scrap to spare. Nice. So we can turn these now into our 2 blocks of netherite, and we still have about 6 minutes left on our nest here. So this part of producing bees always takes quite a while. I know that we could use a time in the bottle or get into, I think it's, Just Dire Things. Hold on, I'm dying right now. As I was saying, Just Dire Things also has a way to speed up certain blocks. And now that we've been to the end, we could probably get into that mod as well pretty soon, as it has a ton of new and interesting items that we could take advantage of. But hey, while I'm sitting here and waiting anyway, why not hit the like button and subscribe? It helps the channel out a ton and lets me know that you guys are interested in these videos. If you want to go one step further, why not consider becoming a channel member? It's the best way to support me directly, and you get access to all of these videos early. And I guess I should probably be working on getting our draconic bees as well. So we're going to need obsidian nests. That's just obsidian and a diamond sword combined. I'll probably only need 1, to be honest. So I'll just place that down. And by the way, I have this dragon head set up with an extractor, and this actually produces dragon's breath. And we use Dragon's Breath as a spawner, basically, for the nest. Oh, and here are all of our ender bees. I thought they would stay inside with the glass there. So I'll have to run around and pick these guys all up. There we go. Come back here. And the last one was being sneaky. He's hiding on the underside of a block. There we go. So we have all of our ender bees now. So now we just need to breed one with a lapis bee, which fortunately we've already set up a hive for. So we can get those guys inside, and that will produce a diamond bee as soon as we get some more poppies inside. And I think I want to make 7 of these guys. There's a few extra blocks that we can actually produce with these. And all of those will require conversion as well. So we could make the silence gems. We haven't really touched silent gear in this mod pack, but yeah, we could do that if we needed to. But yeah, we need to convert one into an ancient bee. And then where was the other one? Oh yeah, amethyst as well. And we actually already have a hive already set up for these guys. But I just needed to quickly configure the transporters. And we have our first diamond bee. So we'll need a new upgrade simulator. Oh, we're out of emeralds. Emeralds would be a really good bee to set up as well. I keep forgetting about that. I've basically just been trading villagers sticks this entire playthrough. So now we should be able to make our simulator upgrade. There we go. And then we're also going to need 3 speed upgrades. There we go. As soon as we get our draconic bees set up, we're going to be able to replace our speed and simulator upgrades with the productivity upgrades as well. All right, we can go ahead and get our speed upgrades inside there and stick our diamond bee inside. And by the way, ender bees actually produce chorus fruit, chorus flowers, and ender comb, which can be turned into ender pearls. So we'll get our extra ender bees set up in a hive as well. And now we can go ahead and get our diamond bee converted into a netherite bee. So we just right click it with a block of netherite, and that it turns it into an ancient bee. And I was actually looking into it, and I don't think that these guys can breed among themselves. So what we'll have to do is actually make a netherite block for each bee that we want to convert. So now we can go ahead and get our ancient bee inside of this beehive. And for some reason we have diamond comb appearing here, but we can fix that soon. And I've placed the block of netherite down in the feeding slab, so it should begin to produce the ancient debris combs. All right, so I transported it into the end and the draconic bee was ready, and it stung me, unfortunately. I did end up capturing it, but I think as long as we don't put it in the overworld, it won't die from that, because bees will die if they lose their stingers. So yeah, I'm just gonna make a few more of these as well, I think. And Dragon's Breath can actually be used to increase the timer here, or decrease it, I should say. And we have a ton of Dragon's Breath, so I think I'm just gonna speed them all up. It really shouldn't take too long now. And it seems like draconic bees are just naturally aggressive. So I've just placed a slab down here to make it a little bit easier to actually pick them up. So I've set up a new beehive for our draconic bees so we can get these guys inside. And they actually require dragon eggs to produce, so we can get some of these guys in here. The reason I have so many, by the way, is from the extractors. You just set a extractor up on top of an egg, and it'll just produce a dragon egg every 15 seconds. It's kind of OP, but pretty nice, especially since dragon eggs aren't used for a lot. By the way, in between episodes, I also set up this ME requester. And what this does is basically allows you to keep a certain number of items in stock at a time. So for example, I have source gems set up to only keep 1024 in stock. And then instead of just setting up a chest up here with lapis inside of it and automatically pulling that through the system, which would consume basically all of my lapis given enough time, what I've done instead is place an ME pattern provider here instead. And that actually has a pattern that produces the source gems. And that will just make sure that we're keeping source gems in stock at 1024. So if I pull out, let's say, half a stack of these, it will actually begin to pull lapis out into the imbuement chamber. It's pretty nice as well because you can set up these charged Certus quartz crystals as well as regular Certus quartz crystals, because this recipe is kind of weird sometimes in that you need Certus quartz dust in order to produce both of these, but for some reason it won't actually let you produce dust while you're crafting these. It's kind of a weird thing, but this actually allows you to get around that. And the reason that I'm sort of mentioning this is because I actually want it to automatically craft netherite ingots. So I'll make a new pattern for that. And we can just keep this inside of our molecular assembler, because this is just a regular crafting recipe. And now if we just put an item inside of here, we can say keep a stack inside. And let's see, if I think you have to hit enter or hit the submit changes button on the side there. And it'll actually tell you what the sort of current status is of our recipe. Currently, we're missing ingredients for netherite ingots, and that's just because we're still waiting on scrap. And I think while I'm waiting for some more netherite scrap to actually be produced, I think I'm going to go through and actually unlock some more of these glyphs. I've kind of been ignoring the spells in Ars Nouveau, even though we've been sort of going through that mod a lot lately. So I think I just want to go through, figure out which ones I really need, and try to figure out how to make them. For example, for AoE, which is one that we'll definitely be using, we're going to need a firework star, which there isn't actually a recipe for, but it is just gunpowder and dye. And I think if you use multiple gunpowder, it'll make a bigger explosion. But this one should do, hopefully. There we go, and that should give us the AoE glyph. Which, if we combine that with our Mold Earth spell, which is just a break spell with pickup on it, it'll actually do, it looks like a 2x2? Yeah, that's a 2x2. But we can actually continue to augment it further with more AoEs, and that'll just make it absolutely insane. There we go. Yeah, that's a huge area that we can mine out now. Amplify is another one that we're definitely going to need as well, because this will actually allow us to improve our break spell. Let's see, hopefully this one will work. There we go. We can basically improve break, and we can break like higher tier items. So by default, I think it can only pick up like iron, but with Amplify unlocked, we should be able to pick up obsidian. And if we keep on improving Amplify, we should be able to unlock netherite as well, or ancient debris. And that'll be super useful as well, because eventually we'll actually be able to break Allthemodium with it, as if we have a netherite pickaxe. And we can go even further beyond that as well and break Vibranium and Unobtainium, which are the next two tiers of mining level in this mod pack. And by the way, we can actually also upgrade our spellbook to the next tier. Currently, it can only cast tier 2 glyphs, but if we use a Totem of Undying, another star, and a Wilden Tribute, we can actually get it up to the Archmage's spellbook. So I'm just making a really quick ranged harm spell. So we have projectile, harm, we can amplify that. We can add the delay glyph, which we haven't unlocked yet. And we'll need a manipulation essence for this, which fortunately we have automated. So we use a repeater, clock, and manipulation essence to unlock this glyph. It'll allow us to add an extra harm inside of our spell. So normally if we just have harm and then we add some amplifies, we could actually add harm again. Unfortunately though, it will tick at the same time, and mobs don't actually allow you to do damage basically in the same tick. So if you add a delay and then harm, amplify that again, it will basically harm the enemy twice. So I found a harmless sheep here, and we're going to basically attack it. This is just with harm amplified twice, harm again with no delay, and it will one-shot it. Might need to find something stronger to demonstrate this on. But basically it will do more damage. If I just do a single harm, let's see if that'll work. Nope, still too strong. There's quite a few Endermen down here underneath my base, so let's try and see if this will work. This is projectile, by the way, so I don't know if it'll hit an Enderman. If I could actually hit him. There we go. So that did about half of his health bar. Ow, he's hurting pretty bad. And this is with 2 levels of harm on it. So that dealt about the same. And I'm pretty sure that that's just because it won't allow you to deal 2 different types of, or 2 damages at the same tick. So if I add, let's see, where was delay? If I add delay and then another harm, what it should do is, let's see if we can find somebody. Oh. I don't know why my keyboard has been acting up a lot recently. I might need to get a new one. But so what I can do is hit this Enderman there. And you notice that it checked it twice. Just like that. So it'll actually deal damage to it twice. So I've just learned the flame and sensitive spells. So what I want to do now is basically make a damage over time spell that will basically set the target on fire and then continue to tick damage onto it with harm. So I'll do ignite, and we want to make sure that we have sensitive wherever it is. Oh, there we go. So what sensitive will do is basically make it so ignite won't light blocks on fire, just entities. So now we can add our harm. We can amplify that. Harm, delay. Delay, and then harm, amplify, amplify. And I think I'll call this spell Heat Metal. There aren't a lot of really good damage over time spells in D&D, which is why I added the fire, the ignite spell here. So I'll try it out on another Enderman, and we should see him die pretty quickly. Maybe doing this on an Enderman's not the best idea because we can't actually see where he went. But I do think a good place to test this out here is going to be this manor. Is that what they're called again? I can never remember what these are called. But there should be some guys in here that we need to kill anyway. So, yep, there's a Johnny right over there. Nice. Yeah, it deals so much damage initially that it just almost one-shots him. Nice. Alright, I'm looking for an evoker in here. And you'll notice here that this is Mage Fire instead of regular fire. Mage Fire doesn't spread. So, oh, there we go. Oh yeah, that just completely one-shot him. It does use quite a bit of mana though, so we can't quite spam it. But as long as we get the effect on the guy, it will... Wow, this guy's pretty tough. It should actually kill him. That guy's so tough. Alright, let me grab that Totem of Undying. Here it is. And there's another one in here, so we might as well grab that one as well. And now I'm back here in the desert, and I'm about to summon the Wilden boss here again. Hopefully we get everything right this time around. And I don't want to use a Totem of Undying. We should be able to beat him with our Heat Metal spell. It's not dealing as much as I thought that it would. But it is pretty good at ticking it away at his health bar. There we go. And I'm almost done with him. He is actually doing his spike attack like he was supposed to last time. There we go. I'm just going to melee him, and he's dead. Nice. And now I'm going to summon the Wither once again, and hopefully get another Nether Star. And this spell definitely does a lot more to the Wither than it did to the Chimera. Go. By the way, I definitely think that this armor is not as strong as the diamond armor. I feel like I'm getting hurt really quickly. Where did he go? Uh-oh. Oh, there he is. But we should now have everything that we need to craft the Archmage spellbook. There we go. Nice. Oh, I guess I already had another star in my system. So what this will basically allow us to do is cast tier 3 glyphs. And this is where we unlock a ton of useful glyphs. So, for example, we have the homing projectile, which basically allows the projectile to follow an entity around. It's really, really nice. We have blink, which teleports the caster to basically a targeted location. And we even have the glide spell, which if you don't have access to regular creative flight or even just jetpacks, this is super neat because it actually gives you elytra flight in just the palm of your hand with the spell. And I think I want to make a magic missile spell. So what I'm going to do is learn the homing projectile glyph, which will require another star, but we had that extra one already. A dowsing rod, which we haven't actually made before, but they are pretty simple with just a couple of archwood planks and a gold ingot. And I think I actually need to change how our splitters work here, because I was actually crafting things here, and so I had all of our source end up in this source jar here. By the way, I did sort of rearrange this in between episodes as well. So I just put the splitter up here, and that way we can have our source sent to different locations on this floor. And then this one also sends down into this source jar, which we need to actually have this splitter pull from that jar. And then I need to go through and reset all of these ones up. And the reason I mentioned that was just because I noticed that our manipulation essence was taking a little bit extra time. So we now have everything that we need for this glyph. Here we go. And we can go ahead and learn that. And now I also want to learn the split glyph. So we're going to need a splitter, wild and spike, which we might be out of, and a stone cutter. Oh, and we are going to need a rabbit's foot for this next one. Let's see if we... Oh, unfortunately we don't have a rabbit's foot. So I was going to put looting on one of our spells. Unfortunately, though, we just aren't able to, so I'm just going to summon some wildins here. And hopefully we get some extra drops from them. I'm not sure entirely how long this spell lasts. Hopefully it's enough to get everything that we need, though. Alright, and there's our relay upgraded into a splitter, so that should be everything that we needed for this spell, or this glyph. So we'll use homing projectile mixed with split, and then harm and an amplify. Maybe we split twice or 3 times, then harm, then amplify. Let's try that. I've named the spell Magic Missile, and we have a group of Endermen down here. Hopefully this will actually home in on them. It looks like it did at the sort of last minute there. Yeah, so that summons 4 with the amount of splits that I have. And it's not a perfect, oh, nice. It's not a perfect representation of what Magic Missile is, but I think it's pretty good. It kind of struggles sometimes with the homing projectiles. I wonder if there's a way to get those more accurate. So I went into the Nether and actually ended up getting a few more ancient debris mined up manually, just because the bee takes a little bit longer. So we have 22 netherite ingots right now, which is enough for a few more smithing templates. So smithing template, we can go ahead and craft some more of these. There we go. Let's just see how many we can get. We have 5 total. So if we put 1 inside of our inventory so that we don't accidentally use it, that should at least be enough to upgrade all of our armor. So inside of a smithing table, we can just place our hat, our upgrade templates, and an Allthemodium ingot. I kind of wish for the Rs armor it would actually use the enchanting apparatus, but We don't get that luxury, but here we go. We have the Allthemodium Arcanist hat. This is tier 5. Our first slot is actually a 4, and our second is a 3. Third is a 2. We still haven't actually talked about threads. We can actually cover that today, I think. So here we go. And there's the leggings, and there are the boots. Nice. So we can get that back on, and it looks so good. Oh, I have the obsidian skull still toggled on because I was mining in the nether, but yeah, there we go. Man, it looks so good. And by the way, each piece of this gives us 200 additional max mana, and each piece also gives us 6 mana regen and 6 spell power. Spell power just basically makes our spells a little more stronger. So I think the very first thread that I want to get is the Thread of Flight. This will actually give us basically creative flight right off the bat. And all we need to do is equip it in a tier 4 slot, which we just unlocked with our Allthemodium gear. For this, we're going to need 3 Phantom Membranes and 3 Air Essence, really not too bad. We're also going to need a blank thread, which is just actually made with our Mage Bloom fibers and some gold nuggets. Unfortunately, I actually don't have any Phantom Membranes. Usually I have so much more than I actually need. So we could use the Loot Fabricator or Bulk Ending. So just put a dragon skull in front of a fan with leather inside. Okay, that shouldn't be too bad actually. And we're actually already set up with crate here. So we have a fan. I might just bucket out this water. There we go. Place our dragon head inside. And hopefully we have some extra leather. Oh, right, we have unlimited leather basically. So we'll get that inside of this barrel. And hopefully that'll begin to, yeah, you can kind of see, it might be hard to see on YouTube, but there's these little black particles coming down, and I think that means that it's working. While I wait for that, I'll also get our air essences crafted. Okay, so it wasn't working because the fan was on top, actually. I think I got it working now. You can see the purple particles. This also almost killed me in just a single tick. Yeah, that's pretty crazy how strong that is. Can this be blocked off by anything? Maybe a full block? There we go. Wow, yeah. But we should see our Phantom Membranes. There we go. And our Air Essences are done as well, which means that we can use our Enchanting Apparatus, place our 3 Air Essences, our 3 Phantom Membranes, and a blank thread in the middle, and that should produce our Thread of Flight. And I think the place that makes the most sense for this is probably the robes, so I'll take our robes off, and what you do with this, I believe you place it there, and you'll see that we have 3 different slots here. All we need to do, I believe, is just right-click the thread on the correct slot, and once we grab that back out, you'll notice that in the top slot we have Flight 4. So now, I just want to take my jetpack off real quick. And now, we can just walk off the edge and keep flying. Awesome. Yeah, it's been so long since we've had a creative flight. Oh, that feels so good. Another good thread to pick up will be the Thread of Undying, which basically allows us to have a totem of Undying active at any time. So this does require a tier 3 slot as well. So I think I'll just place this on, I think actually the robes is fine. I forgot that this second slot is actually tier 3 as well. The Thread of True Sight will basically allow us to have night vision, and we can even see through lava. So I think I found a few more threads that I want to include here. We have the Thread of Vitality, which grants an extra heart for each level. We'll want to make sure that that's in as high of a slot as possible. The Thread of Magic Capacity, which increases the max mana by 10% per level. The Thread of Depths, which gives us a little more capacity in our air when we're swimming. It also gives us a little more faster swim speed. We have the thread of spell power, which basically just gives us a little more spell damage, and the thread of high step, which basically gives us step assist, which is very, very useful. It's also important to note that each thread is limited to 1 per piece. So we couldn't put, say, 4 threads of vitality all on one piece. We would have to put them on each of our different pieces of armor. So I'll start by crafting a thread of vitality. We'll probably want a few threads of magic capacity, but I'll just craft 1 for now. And I actually need fish for the thread of depth, so I'm going to be making a new fishing rod. Hopefully we can get some decent enchantments. Alright, and there's our thread of the depths, and the thread of step height. And I think I just want to start kind of figuring out which slots I want each of these to kind of go on. The thread of spell power requires 1 of each essence minus anima, plus a mage bloom. And I think the last thread that I want to make right now is the spectral sight one. So I think I have most of our threads all figured out now. I still have a few empty tier 2s because I just don't really know what to do with them. By the way, I was kind of wrong. You actually can't have multiple of the same thread in any armor piece. So I tried to have vitality on, I think it was my leggings as well as my robes, and it just didn't work. So what we're working with right now is we have True Sight 4, Depths 3, Spectral Sight 2 on our hat. We have Flight 4, which gives us Creative Flight, Undying 3, and a blank slot on our robes. On our leggings, we have Vitality 4 and Spell Power 3. On the boots, we have Magic Capacity 4 and High Step 3. The Spectral Sight thread is pretty cool in that it will actually highlight an enemy in red or a friendly in green. That way you can kind of distinguish them a little bit better. And apparently it even highlights yourself. But I think that's all the time we're going to have for today. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll catch you next time. Peace.